Okay, so hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to answer the first exercise that I've uploaded in the classwork. Sorry for the sounds of the dogs that you're hearing right now in my background, okay? So, this specific exercise actually will teach you on equivalent production and unit cost. Now, I won't discuss what is written in the exercise. I'm just going to jump over to the solution. So it's best that you read the problem first before watching this video. Okay, so there are actually two requirements for this specific problem. So first is to compute the equivalent units for each element of cost in department B, and second one is to calculate the cost per equivalent unit for each element of cost in department B. So first we'll answer the first requirement. So that's on equivalent units. Okay, so just going to label it. Okay, so before we proceed, okay, whatever happened to the dog, I'm not sure. Okay, equivalent units. So there are two items that you should need to take into consideration when you're computing for the total units to be accounted for. So first is the beginning inventory of work in process, and you add the units started in process during the period. Okay, and that would be your total units to be accounted for. Okay, so the second one would be on those that are transferred to the finishing department, so that's to FG, and the ending inventory of work in process. So that is the total units to be accounted for. In this problem, the total units accounted, the amount that is transferred from department A to B at the beginning of the period, so that's the beginning, was around 25,000 units. So since we're talking about, this is for department B, okay? So that's the only data that we have. Therefore, there is no beginning work in process at this point. So the total units to be accounted for is 25,000. Okay. The number of units transferred to finished goods is around 20,000, while the work in process ending inventory is 5,000 units. Okay. So that is a total of 25,000. So you can see here, the amount placed here, a bit here and here, is equal. And most of the time, this is equal. So this is actually something that you should master, or you should always keep in mind. Okay? So we're done with the total units to be accounted for. Now let's proceed with the equivalent units for each element. So what are the elements that we are talking about? So first is the materials. going to write here. Materials, labor, and factory overhead. Okay. Now, given that the 20,000 is already finished or transferred out, more or less the 20,000 unit is already complete 100% as to materials, labor, and factory overhead. Okay, and it was transferred during the month. Now we'll talk about this one. Okay, this one here. Okay, how are we going to place it here? So for the materials, it was said that as to materials, this was already complete, so we'll just add the 5,000 right there. As to labor, this is already 80% complete. So 80% of 5,000 is 4,000. And 60% as to factory overhead. So that's 3,000. Okay? So materials is 25,000. Labor is 24,000. And factory overhead is 23,000. So the total units to be accounted for under each cost element is 25,000 for materials, 24,000 for labor, and for factory it's only 23,000, since the remaining 1,000 for this one has not yet been completed, and neither in this factory overhead. Okay, so that's how you compute your units equivalent for each element cost. Now, when I ask for the total units to be accounted for, you give me this one. Okay? When I ask for each cost element, then you give me this one. Okay? So, that is how you compute for your equivalent production. Okay? So, I'm pausing for a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to erase this one. Okay, let's clear the canvas. Now let's answer, and let's go to the second one. The second item that we will answer is the cost per equivalent unit for each element. Okay, so I hope that you've written the previous answers, because we're going to need that one. Okay, so so for the first one is the cost in beginning inventory. Okay, we do not have this one. And then the cost added during the period. And that's the total cost to be accounted for. Okay, and we divide that one to the total equivalent units. And we have the cost per equivalent unit. Okay, so let's do the total first. So the cost from, so this is from Department A. So the total cost for that can be found on the 4th journal entry, summarized for April activity. That's debit work in process Department B, credit work in process Department A. So that's 40,000. Okay. Okay, not inventory, not the beginning. It should be under cost added. So that's 20,000. I mean 40,000. Because we have no beginning inventory. So the total cost to be accounted for is actually 40,000. Now remember, how much or how many were the total units equivalent to be accounted for? That was 25,000. So with this, you just divide this one with this one, and then you get 1.60. That's for the cost coming from Department A. Okay. So how about the cost coming from materials, labor, and other stuff? So for the materials, labor, and factory overhead. Okay. So for the materials again, there's no amount for the beginning inventory, so we'll just leave it at 0. The cost added during the period, so let's look for work in process for materials. First journal entry shows that it's 15,000. Labor is at 9,600. And factory overhead is at 16,330. Okay, so since there's no beginning inventory, you just bring down the answers. Okay. And we write down the total units equivalent per cost element. So for materials, that was how much? That was 25,000. For labor, that was 24,000. And for factory overhead, that was 23,000. Again, you just divide the total cost to be accounted for with the total equivalent units. So your answers would be 15,000 divided by 25,000, that's 0.6. 9,600 divided by 24,000, that's 0.40. And 16,330 divided by 23,000, that's 0.74. Okay. So you just add these four and you get how much. So the total cost per unit now we cannot add that one because these two are different. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay, so that's it. You've already answered the two part of the requirements. Okay, so please try to answer this on your own until you get the hang of it. This is the procedure that you will be dealing with. This is the simplest form of exercise that I can give you. You just need to memorize the process by heart, and then you'll be able to master this topic, hopefully. Okay, and I'm expecting that you have already discussed this one in your cost accounting, so this won't be that hard on you. Okay, so thank you for listening, and I will record another exercise after this one.